Hey guys, it's Benjamin and welcome to another lesson here at the Guide Plus. And today I have another advanced trick for you that you can use to create finishing spots, especially inside the box. We call it the Power Shot Skill Cancel, and let's go right into how to do it. So it's building up, as the name already gives away, on the Power Shot that you can see here. And the thing is, with the Power Shot, you have this longer wind-up animation. So for the Power Shot itself, it was introduced in FIFA 23, and what you want to do is you press L1 plus R1 or LB plus RB, and then you power up the shot. And then you get the Power Shot, and as you can see, you have a longer wind-up animation. And now in FC 24, you can cancel this kind of animation during this wind-up with a skill move. So this is a new introduction, and you can see it here. So as soon as I was starting here with a Power Shot, then I do the input for a skill move, in that case the ball roll, and my player exits this kind of wind-up animation of the Power Shot and goes into another direction, in that case with the ball roll. And as you can see with those two examples here, I varied a little bit the timing. For the first one, I was doing it early on, so I was starting with the animation, then I canceled it quite early with a ball roll. And in the second example here, I will do it a little bit later. So the timing is depending on the animation. This basically is the time window that you can do it. And also there's a trait or like a play style, which is called Power Shot, which influences how long this animation is. So if you have someone who has the Power Shot playstyle or the playstyle plus, you have a shorter time window to actually cancel this, just as a heads up. Here you see also you can use other skill moves, for example a roulette. So there are different ways how you can cancel it. In this lesson though, we will focus on the ball roll because I feel like it's the most powerful and the most easiest to do of all those things. Here you see also the Power Shot into an elastico, but I feel like the ball roll is the most reliant and most consistent one. And here we have an example in game where you will see how I do the input. So I control the ball, then I do the input here for the Power Shot, L1 plus R1 plus powering up the shot, or LB plus RB and powering up the shot. And then my player starts with the animation, and during the animation, while this winding up is happening, I do the ball roll. In that case, always is relative to the player direction or the viewing direction of the player. Here, since I'm facing forward like this to do a ball roll, I just have to press the right stick up in that direction, so like this. So then this means this is going to be cancelled into a ball roll, and this is a very slick way of getting the attention of the opponent. As you can see here, like the opponent is then focusing on blocking that shot because the opponents see that there's this wind up, and then they will try to block it. And just another thing that I want to also explain, here you see me doing the Power Shot. So I start with the Power Shot and then I cancel it just by pressing L2 plus R2 or LT plus RT. So like this is the regular cancel that which is quite prominent since last year because a lot of players were doing it, the Power Shot into just a regular cancel. So this is also something that you can do. But if you just focus here on the execution itself, I feel like it's not as powerful because you don't have such a slick transition into another animation. So this is the advantage of the, for example, Power Shot into the ball roll, because it's a very smooth transition. While here it felt like, okay, I was canceling the animation, but it wasn't as powerful because it was not as smooth in the way how I was transitioning from the Power Shot into something else. Still, I scored the goal, but it was more a showcase on how it could look like with just a regular cancel. So now I want to talk about how to use this kind of technique in the best way. And here, this is potentially the first time that I was using it successfully. And it looks really cool how I use it here, and it looks really slick and very proficient. But I would make the case that it was actually not the best application of this technique, because the advantage that I get here, so in that case, I start with the animation of the Power Shot, I transition into the ball roll, looks really cool, but the whole time I feel like the opponent had the chance to tackle the ball, and there would have been also different ways how I can find a solution for this. I could also have potentially do a, for example, heel to ball roll, and it would have worked the same. I would have got the same outcome. So it looked really cool and, yeah, as I said, very effective. But to be honest, I feel like it was not the best spot because, as I said, the opponent really close by. It wasn't really the case that I got the attention of my opponent because he was already focused on me finishing from that position anyways. And that's why I felt like it was not the best situation. Maybe you will understand it better if I show you this example. And this is from the member JT from our the Guide community, the Guide Plus community. He's a regular member, also showing up on our Discord. And he posted this example, and I feel like this was one of the best examples in the way how you can use this kind of technique in a very efficient way. Because here you see it's a different situation. JT starts with a power shot, and now you can really see how he fools and baiting out the opponent so that the opponent has to do something. We have the power shot situation like this. JT has like these typical or like really clear chances on how to finish from a power shot from here. So the opponent has to react. He has to really rush out to prevent this from happening. So there is a chance that the opponent is able to block the shot. And then if you then transition from here into a ball roll, for example, then it's really an efficient application of the power shot cancel, I would say, or the power shot ball roll in that case. So here you can see it, the opponent is rushing out and JT smoothly transitions into the ball roll, avoids the opponent, and now he has a much better chance of finishing from this position because he basically baited out the last defender. Really good way of finding an application for the power shot cancel. And now you see some examples from me how I use it, and I feel like, yeah, it's similar, and I also made some good use of this move, and I really started using and see the advantage of this move. And it's always about really getting the attention of the opponent by having a real threat of finishing with a power shot. So here you can see me starting with a power shot, and if you look at this situation from the defender's perspective, from the opponent's perspective, they have to really focus up and prioritize their defending to say, okay, I have to really get into this potential lane where the opponent is going to shoot, and they have to rush. So, and this is the difference to the first example that I've shown you with Kane, where I feel like the defender or the opponent was already in the best defending spot, and it didn't really change much that I was loading up the power shot. But here, if you look at this example, the opponent has to really change their position to get into this potential shooting lane. And that's why I create this urgency for my opponent to do something, and this is what we want to build up our move then, because then if we transition, because here you can see there's a real threat of me finishing, so now I transition into the ball roll, and now I have a much better chance because the last defender is out of position and I can finish from here. So this, I feel like, is a much better situation. I just have a bird now in front of my window, so I had to laugh a little bit, sorry. So like these are the situations that you want. And now we have the last spot, and I feel like this is a very similar case. We start with a power shot here. Then we have another defender, in that case, coming from the side. So one more time, the opponent has to prioritize to get into this potential shooting lane, shooting angle, and then if we transition into the power shot, into the ball roll, then we have a much better finishing situation. So like these are the spots where I feel like you can use this move in the most efficient way, that you have this real threat. The opponent has to change their position to be able to block the potential shot. You create this urgency for the opponent to do something, and then if you transition smoothly into another direction with a skill move, then you have a really good chance of creating the best finishing spot. So at last, I just want to briefly talk about who is this relevant for. I would say that you are a really well-experienced player, so I would say Division 2 at least. Rather try to start including this in Division 1 and Elite Division. It's a really advanced trick, and if you're in the lower divisions, it's something that you can play around with, that you can fool around with, but actually you won't need it as much, and you should focus on other things. I want to make that clear. This is something where you can gain like a few percentages in some situations, but I would say if you are in lower divisions, still you can use it to some effect, but I would say prioritize other things that you can work on, because there's so much more that you can refine and that you can improve on, instead of trying to find those advanced tricks and try to implement and integrate them into your game, because yeah, they look nice, they look fancy, and it's a good, pleasant feeling if you're able to successfully pull it off, but it's not as easy. And I think this is the last point that I would want to make. Sometimes I also screw up the input, and I feel like that's why it's not as challenging. There are more complicated techniques, but still you have to really get the muscle memory down to transition from a power shot into a ball roll or something else. And that's why there will be situations when the input is not as clear and you will screw it up, and that's why I would recommend to only try to start using this if you're really in the higher divisions or also in the elite division. So that's it from the power shot skill cancel. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You can leave me some feedback in the comments, but also on the Discord server. Looking forward to it. This is it from my side. Keep a clean sheet. I'm out.